Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be talking about cotton farming, but not just any cotton farming. We're going to be looking at the impact of something pretty unexpected, tiny little worms called bollworms.
Yeah.
And now a company called Farmonaut is using some pretty cutting-edge satellite technology to help farmers combat this threat.
It might seem surprising that something so small could have such a big impact. But bollworms are a serious issue for cotton farmers around the world.
Okay, so let's get right to it. What exactly are bollworms, and why should we care about them?
Well, bollworms are the larvae of certain moths, and they have a voracious appetite for cotton plants. They specifically target the cotton bolls, which is the part of the plant that's used to make fabric. And these infestations can cause significant damage, leading to reduced yields and lower quality cotton.
So these little guys are basically munching their way through a valuable resource.
Yeah.
Just how much damage are we talking about?
Well, unchecked bollworm infestations can lead to major economic losses for farmers. Imagine a cotton field where the bolls are riddled with holes and opening prematurely. That's the kind of damage bollworms can do.
That sounds pretty devastating. Are there different types of bollworms that farmers have to deal with?
Yes, there are actually four main types that attack cotton: the cotton bollworm, pink bollworm, spotted bollworm, and American bollworm. While they all pose a threat, the spotted bollworm stands out because of its unique appearance.
Appearance, huh? That's interesting. Tell me more.
Well, its adult moths have these striking green wings with white spots, hence the name, and their larvae are actually pink, which I always found a bit ironic. These pink larvae mainly attack young cotton bolls, causing them to fall off the plant before they can mature.
Wow, so it's like a tiny but fierce army attacking these crops. It's incredible how much damage these seemingly insignificant creatures can cause. Let's focus on the pink bollworm for a moment. Its life cycle is particularly fascinating, and if we understand it, I think it will help us understand the scale of the problem.
Absolutely. The pink bollworm goes through four stages: egg, larva, pupa, and adult. What's remarkable is how quickly they can reproduce. Under ideal conditions, they can go from egg to adult in just 30 days.
30 days. That's incredibly fast.
Yeah.
It's no wonder they can get out of control so quickly.
Exactly, and because they can reproduce so rapidly, multiple generations can emerge within a single growing season. This makes them a persistent and formidable threat for cotton
This
farmers.
sounds like a constant battle.
Yeah.
And that's where Farmonaut steps in, right? They're using some pretty incredible technology to give farmers a fighting chance.
That's right. Farmonaut has developed a system that uses satellites to monitor cotton fields and detect signs of bollworm infestation before they become visible to the naked eye.
Wait, hold on. How can a satellite see tiny little worms from space? That sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
It's not quite seeing the worms themselves. Instead, it analyzes multispectral imagery captured by satellites. This type of imagery reveals subtle changes in the health of cotton plants, even before any visible damage appears. It's like having a high-tech eye in the sky constantly scanning for trouble.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So they're detecting the early warning signs of an infestation. What are the benefits of catching it so early?
Well, early detection is crucial for effective intervention. By knowing where and when bollworms are starting to become a problem, farmers can take targeted action before the infestation spreads and causes widespread damage.
So it's all about being proactive rather than reactive. I can see how that would be a game changer for cotton farmers. Are there any other benefits to using this type of technology?
Absolutely. Farmonaut's system also analyzes historical data to help identify patterns in bollworm outbreaks and predict future risks. It even integrates weather data so farmers can anticipate potential outbreaks based on environmental conditions.
Wow, so it's not just about reacting to the problem. It's about understanding the bigger picture and making informed decisions to prevent future issues. That's amazing.
Exactly. And on top of all that, Farmonaut's Jeevan AI provides farmers with personalized recommendations for bollworm management. This AI system analyzes all the data and suggests specific actions tailored to each individual farm's unique situation.
It sounds like Farmonaut is providing farmers with an incredibly powerful tool to protect their crops and improve their overall operations. But what about those super bollworms that become resistant to pesticides? Is that a factor here?
That's a crucial point. And yes, it's a growing concern. Bollworms are becoming increasingly resistant to traditional pesticides, especially genetically modified beta-cotton and certain insecticides.
So it sounds like we're in a bit of an arms race with these bollworms. What could be done to manage this resistance and ensure that these solutions remain effective in the long run?
There are a few strategies that farmers can implement, and these are key to long-term bollworm control. One important strategy is rotating boot cotton varieties by planting different types of boot cotton that target bollworms in different ways. Farmers can make it harder for the pests to develop resistance to a single type of toxin.
That makes sense. It's like keeping them on their toes, so to speak. What else can farmers do?
Another important strategy is to implement what are called refuge areas within cotton fields.
Refuge areas, that's a new one. What are those exactly?
Imagine you have a cotton field planted with boot cotton. Within that field, you set aside a small area and plant it with non-boot cotton. This acts as a refuge for bollworms that are still susceptible to the boot toxins.
Ah, I see. So it's like a safe zone where the susceptible bollworms can hang out without encountering the boot toxins.
Exactly. And by allowing these susceptible bollworms to mate with the resistant ones, it slows down the spread of resistance genes in the overall population. It's a strategic way to preserve the effectiveness of boot cotton in the long run.
It's like a long-term strategy to keep those resistance genes in check. Are there any other tactics farmers can use?
Another key strategy is insecticide rotation. By alternating between insecticides that work in different ways, farmers can prevent bollworms from developing resistance to any single type of insecticide.
So it's all about keeping those bollworms guessing right, switching things up so they don't have a chance to adapt.
Precisely. And of course, constant monitoring is crucial. Farmers need to regularly check their fields for any signs of resistance developing and adjust their strategies accordingly.
It sounds like a constant game of chess trying to stay one step ahead of these evolving pests. It makes you appreciate the challenges farmers face on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the elephant in the room, climate change. This is another major factor influencing bollworm populations and making things even more challenging for farmers.
We've talked about climate change a bit already, but I'm curious to hear more about its specific impact on bollworms. How exactly is it making things worse?
Well, for starters, warmer temperatures can lead to extended growing seasons, which means more generations of bollworms per year. It's like giving them extra time to reproduce and cause damage.
Yikes. That doesn't sound good. Is there anything else?
Climate change can also alter the geographic distribution of bollworms, introducing them to new areas where they may not have been a problem before.
So they're basically expanding their territory, taking advantage of these shifting climate patterns.
Exactly. And milder winters can also improve their overwinter survival rates, leading to larger bollworm populations in the following spring.
That's like climate change is giving them a helping hand, unfortunately. Sounds like a pretty bleak situation.
It's certainly a challenge, but there are reasons for optimism. The growing awareness of sustainable agriculture practices, coupled with advances in technology, is giving farmers new tools to combat these challenges.
That's good to hear. Speaking of sustainable practices, we briefly touched on biopesticides earlier. Could you tell us more about those?
Biopesticides are derived from natural sources, like bacteria, fungi, or viruses. They offer a more environmentally friendly approach to pest control compared to traditional synthetic pesticides.
So they're like nature's own weapons against pests. Are there any specific biopesticides being used against bollworms?
Yes. One example is a biopesticide based on the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis, or beet for short.
Wait a minute, is that the same beet that's used in boot cotton?
Yes, it is. The same beet toxins that are engineered into beet cotton can also be formulated as a sprayable biopesticide. This dual approach can be quite effective in controlling bollworm populations.
So it's like a double whammy against bollworms.
Yeah.
Brought in the plants and bought as a spray. That's fascinating. Are there any other promising biopesticides in development?
There's a lot of research going on in this area, with scientists exploring biopesticides based on fungi, viruses, and even insect pheromones.
Insect pheromones. That's really interesting. How do those work?
It's all about disrupting the mating process. By releasing synthetic pheromones into the field, you can confuse the male bollworms and prevent them from finding females to mate with.
So it's like a form of biological warfare, but without harming the environment. I love it. It seems like there's a lot of potential in this area.
Absolutely. And biopesticides are just one part of a larger strategy known as integrated pest management, or IPM.
IPM. Tell me more.
IPM is all about combining different strategies to minimize pest damage while reducing reliance on any single method. It's a holistic approach that takes into account the entire ecosystem.
So it's about using the right tool for the job, rather than just relying on one silver bullet. I like that approach. What are some examples of IPM strategies for bollworms?
Well, besides using resistant cotton varieties and biopesticides, IPM might also involve things like crop rotation, early planting to avoid peak bollworm populations, and attracting beneficial insects to the fields.
Beneficial insects. What role do they play in all of this?
Beneficial insects are like nature's own pest control army. They're predators that feed on bollworms and other pests, helping to keep their populations in check.
So it's like having a team of tiny superheroes patrolling your fields.
Exactly. Ladybugs, lacewings, and parasitic wasps are just a few examples of beneficial insects that can be incredibly helpful in controlling bollworm populations.
So how can farmers encourage these beneficial insects to stick around?
One way is to provide habitat for them. This could involve planting hedgerows or flower strips around the edges of fields, which provide food and shelter for these beneficial insects.
So it's about creating a welcoming environment for these tiny allies, making sure they have the resources they need to thrive.
That's a great way to put it, and it all ties back to the idea of sustainable agriculture, working with nature, not against it.
And this is where Farmonaut's technology comes in again, right?
Precisely. Farmonaut's satellite monitoring and data analysis can help farmers implement these sustainable practices more effectively.
Give me an example.
Well, it can help identify areas where beneficial insect populations are low, allowing farmers to take targeted action, like planting additional habitat in those areas. It can also help track the effectiveness of different IPM strategies over time, allowing farmers to fine-tune their approaches and continuously improve their results. It's about using data to make more informed decisions.
So it's like a precision-guided approach to sustainable pest management. It's incredible how technology is being used to address these complex challenges in agriculture.
It really is.
But let's be realistic. There are still many challenges facing cotton farmers around the world, from economic pressures to the ever-present threat of climate change.
You're absolutely right. It's not an easy road, but there are reasons for optimism.
I'm all ears. Tell me more. I'm curious to hear what gives you hope for the future of cotton farming. It sounds like there are some pretty formidable challenges to overcome.
Well, I think one of the most encouraging trends is the growing interest in what's called regenerative agriculture.
Regenerative agriculture. That's a term we haven't really explored yet. What exactly does it mean?
It's a way of farming that goes beyond just sustainability. It's about actively improving the health of the soil, the ecosystem, and the entire farming community. It's about working in harmony with nature to regenerate the land rather than depleting it.
So it's not just about doing less harm. It's about actually healing and restoring the land. Yeah. That's a powerful concept. How does this apply to cotton farming specifically?
Regenerative practices can help build soil fertility, enhance water retention, and create more resilient ecosystems. This can have a huge impact on cotton farming because healthier, stronger plants are better able to withstand stresses like drought, heat, and yes, even pests like bollworms.
It's amazing how everything is connected, isn't it? The health of the soil, the resilience of the ecosystem, the ability of crops to withstand pests and climate change. It's all part of a larger web.
It really is. And this is where I believe technology can play a truly transformative role. We've already seen how Farmonaut's satellite monitoring can help farmers make more informed decisions about pest management and resource allocation, but I think we're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these possibilities.
Imagine a future where sensors in the field can measure soil health in real time, providing farmers with constant feedback on the condition of their land. Or AI-powered systems that optimize irrigation based on the specific needs of each plant, minimizing water waste and maximizing efficiency. And perhaps even robotics that assist with tasks like planting and weeding, reducing labor costs, and improving precision.
It sounds like a futuristic vision of farming straight out of a science fiction novel.
It might sound far-fetched, but many of these technologies are already being developed and tested, and as they become more accessible and affordable, I believe they have the potential to revolutionize cotton farming and make it truly regenerative.
That's an incredibly exciting prospect. It sounds like we're on the cusp of a real paradigm shift in the way we think about agriculture. But let's be realistic. Are there any challenges or obstacles that we need to address to make this vision a reality?
Of course. One of the biggest challenges is the need for greater collaboration across the entire cotton supply chain.
What do you mean by that?
To truly achieve sustainable and regenerative cotton production, we need everyone involved. From the farmers growing the cotton, to the brands selling the final products, to the consumers making purchasing decisions, to be on board and working together.
So it's not just about individual actions, it's about creating a system-wide shift.
Exactly. Farmers need support to adopt new practices, brands need to prioritize sourcing sustainably produced cotton, and consumers need to be educated about the importance of making conscious choices. It's a team effort.
It sounds like technology could play a role here as well.
Absolutely. Imagine a platform that connects farmers directly with brands, creating greater transparency and traceability in the supply chain. Consumers could literally see where their cotton came from, how it was grown, and the impact it had on the environment and the farming community.
Wow, that would be incredible. It would empower consumers to make more informed choices and support brands that are truly committed to sustainability.
Exactly. It's about creating a system where everyone benefits: the farmers, the environment, and ultimately the consumers who enjoy cotton products.
It feels like we're at a turning point in the story of cotton. There are challenges ahead, but there's also a growing awareness of the need for change and a determination to create a more sustainable future for this essential crop.
I couldn't agree more. It's an exciting time to be involved in this industry.
Well, on that note of optimism, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the world of cotton farming. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling incredibly inspired by the innovation, dedication, and hope that we've encountered along this journey.
It's been a pleasure sharing these insights and exploring the future of cotton with you and our listeners.
A huge thank you to you, our expert, for guiding us through this fascinating topic. And to all of you listening, we encourage you to continue exploring the world of cotton, learning about the challenges and opportunities, and supporting brands that are committed to sustainable practices.
And the next time you slip into your favorite cotton t-shirt, take a moment to appreciate the journey it took to get there, from the field to your closet. Every piece of clothing tells a story, and we hope this deep dive has given you a deeper understanding of the story behind your cotton.
That's a beautiful thought. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the fascinating world around us.